في 9 ديسمبر عام 92 استيقظ الشعب على إعلان انفصال الأميرة ديانا والأمير تشارلز بعد 11 عاما من إعلان زواجهما الأسطوري. كان بلا شك خبرا صادما للجميع. انتهت قصة الزواج الأسطورية التي تغنى بها العالم كله لسنوات. فكيف كانت تفاصيل ذلك الانفصال المفاجئ؟ وكيف كان أثره على الأميرين ويليام وهاري؟
I asked my husband if we could put the announcement out before the children came back for school Christmas holidays because they were protected in the school they were at. And he did that. And it came out on December the 9th. I was on an engagement up north. I heard it on the radio. And it was just very, very sad. Really sad. A fairy tale had come to an end. And most importantly, our marriage had taken a turn. Different turn.
Did you tell your children that you were going to separate?
Yes. I went down a week beforehand and explained to them what was happening. And they took it as children do, lots of questions, and I hoped I was able to reassure them. I think the announcement had a huge effect on me and Charles, really. The children were very much out of it in the sense that they were tucked away at school.
فعليا كانت الأميرة ديانا والأمير تشارلز منفصلين في حياتهما الشخصية منذ عام 92 حتى إعلان طلاقهما رسميا في 28 من أغسطس آب عام 96. فكيف كانت تفاصيل تلك الفترة؟
People's agendas changed overnight. I was now separated, wife of the Prince of Wales. I was a problem. I was a liability, seen as. And how were we going to deal with her? This hasn't happened before.
Who was asking those questions?
People around me, people in this environment, and...
The royal household?
People in my environment, yes, yeah.
And they began to see you as a problem?
Yes, very much so.
How did that show itself?
By visits abroad being blocked, by things that had come naturally in my way being stopped, letters going, got lost, and various things. Everything changed after we separated, and life became very difficult then for me.
Who was behind that change?
Well, my husband's side were very busy stopping me.
لم تكن العائلة المالكة البريطانية مشغولة بتضييق الخناق عليها فحسب، بل دعمت نشر شائعات أكثر بغرض تشويه سمعتها، ولا سيما بعد اعتراف الأمير تشارلز العلني بخيانته لها مع كاملة. فأرادت العائلة المالكة عن طريق الاستخبارات البريطانية العمل على التشويش على فضيحة الأمير تشارلز ولي العهد البريطاني على حساب تشويه سمعة الأميرة ديانا. لقد أرادوا للعقل الجمعي للجمهور أن يؤمن بأنه خانها لأنها سبق أن خانته، وهو ما لم يكن صحيحا إطلاقا. لذا انتشرت شائعات عديدة لا أساس لها من الصحة حول علاقتها بعدد من الأشخاص، من بينهم الطبيب الباكستاني حسنات خان، وحارسها الشخصي السابق باري مناكي، ولاعب الرغبي ويل كارلين، والضابط السابق جيمس هيوت. واثنان من أصدقائها هما رجل الأعمال أوليفر هور والممثل البريطاني جيمس غلبي، لدرجة أنهم سجلوا محادثاتها الهاتفية مع أوليفر هور وجيمس غلبي دون علمها وأيضا دون علمهما، ثم أجروا بعض التلاعب بأشرطة التسجيل وجرى بثها عن طريق تسريبها للصحافة، ليعتقد الجمهور أن ديانا قد خانت زوجها حقا، وهو ما لم يحدث قط، ولا يوجد أي دليل حقيقي على صحته.
I felt very protective about James because he'd been a very good friend to me and was a very good friend to me, and I couldn't bear that his life was going to be messed up because he had the connection with me, and that worried me. I'm very protective about my friends, but the implications of that conversation were that we'd had an adulterous relationship, which was not true.
Have you any idea how that conversation came to be published in the national press?
No, but it was done to harm me in a serious manner, and that was the first time I'd experienced what it was like to be outside the net, so to speak, and not be in the family. It was to make the public change their attitude towards me. It was, if we are going to divorce, my husband would hold more cards than I would. It was very much a poker game, chess game. I was reputed to have made 300 telephone calls in a very short space of time, which, bearing my lifestyle at that time, made me a very busy lady. No, I didn't, but that again was a huge move to discredit me, and very nearly did me in, the injustice of it, because I did my own homework on that subject and consequently found out that a young boy had done most of them. but I read that I'd done them all. Mr. Hall told me that his lines were being tapped by the local police station. He said, you know, don't ring. So I didn't. Somebody clearly did.
Do you really believe that a campaign was being waged against you?
Yes, I did. Absolutely. Yeah.
Why?
I was a separated wife of the Prince of Wales. I was a problem, full stop. Never happened before. What do we do with her? She won't go quietly. That's the problem. I'll fight till the end. Because I believe that I have a role to fulfill. And I got 2 children to bring up.
بعد كل ذلك، لا شك أنها كانت مرحلة صعبة من الضغط النفسي على ديانا، ولذلك في 3 من ديسمبر كانون الأول عام 93 أعلنت الأميرة ديانا انسحابها من الحياة العامة، ولكن سرعان ما جذبتها أعمالها الخيرية للعودة وبقوة للانخراط فيها مجددا برفقة أناس أحبوا وجودها في حياتهم كداعمة لهم ولو بالكلمة الطيبة.
The pressure was intolerable then, and my work was being affected. I wanted to give 110% to my work, and I could only give 50. I was constantly tired, exhausted, because the pressure was it was so cruel. So I thought the only way to do it was to stand up and make a speech and extract myself before I started disappointing and not carrying out my work. It was my decision to make that speech because I owed it to the public to say that, you know, thank you. I'm disappearing for a bit, but I'll come back. I did a lot of work, what I call underground, without any media attention, so I never really stopped doing it. I just didn't do every day out and about. I just couldn't do it. The campaign was, in that point, was being successful. But it did surprise the people who were causing the grief. It did surprise them when I took myself out of the game. They hadn't expected that. And I'm a great believer that you should always confuse the enemy. Well, the enemy was my husband's department, because I always got more publicity. My work was discussed much more than him. And, you know, from that point of view, I understand it. But I was doing good things, and I wanted to do good things. I was never going to hurt anyone. I was never going to let anyone down.
But you really believe that it was out of jealousy that they wanted to undermine you?
I think it was out of fear, because here was a strong woman doing her bit. And where was she getting her strength from to continue?
في 29 من يونيو حزيران عام 94 وخلال لقاء تلفزيوني مع الإعلامي جوناثان ديمبلي، اعترف الأمير تشارلز بخيانته للأميرة ديانا مع عشيقته كاميلا باركر بولز. فماذا كان رد فعل ديانا وقتها؟
Well, I was totally unaware of the content of the book, and actually saw it on the news that night that it would come out. And my first concern was to the children, because they were able to understand what was coming out, and I wanted to protect them. But I was pretty devastated myself. But then I admired the honesty, because it takes a lot to do that. Well, to be honest about a relationship with someone else in his position is quite something.
How did you handle this with the children?
I went to the school and put it to William, particularly, that if you find someone you love in life, you must hang on to it and look after it. And you were very lucky to find if you were lucky enough to find someone who loved you, then one must protect it. William asked me what had been going on, and could I answer his questions, of which I did. He said, was that the reason why our marriage had broken up? And I said, well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, and the pressure of the media was another factor. So the 2 together were very difficult. But although I still loved Papa, I couldn't live under the same roof as him, and likewise with him. Well, he's a child that's a deep thinker, and we won't know for a few years how it's gone in. But I put it in gently, without resentment or any anger.
ومع ذلك ورغم خيانته لها وإخلاصها له، رفضت ديانا أن تلقي باللوم كله على تشارلز بشأن فشل زواجهما، بل رأت أنها تتحمل نصف المسؤولية عن ذلك، وهو ما يمكن إسناده إلى اندماجها في واجباتها كأميرة ويلز بالصورة التي كان لها تأثير سلبي على حياتها الزوجية، وهي رؤية منصفة جدا، ونادرا ما تصدر عن امرأة خانها زوجها، خاصة عندما تكون شخصية عامة كالأميرة ديانا.
I take full responsibility. I take some responsibility that our marriage went the way it did. I'll take half of it, but I won't take any more than that, because it takes 2 to get in this situation.
أكذوبة أخرى نشرت في صورة كتاب عام 94 للكاتبة البريطانية أنا باسترناك، حيث روج الكتاب أكاذيب وافتراءات على الأميرة ديانا لإيهام الجمهور بأنها خانت زوجها تشارلز مع صديقها جيمس هيوت. وفي عام 2000 اتخذ القصر الملكي إجراءاته لمقاضاة مؤلفة الكتاب ودار النشر وجيمس هيوت نفسه، نظرا لما تضمنه الكتاب من أكاذيب وافتراءات أشاعها جيمس هيوت بغرض جني المال على حساب سمعة الأميرة ديانا. لكن الغريب أن ذلك التحرك جاء متأخرا جدا بعد 3 سنوات من مصرع الأميرة ديانا.
He was a great friend of mine at a very difficult time, yet another difficult time, and he was always there to support me. And I was absolutely devastated when this book appeared, because I trusted him, and because, again, I worried about the reaction on my children. Well, there was a lot of fantasy in that book. And it was very distressing for me that a friend of mine who I had trusted made money out of me. I really minded about that. And he'd rung me up 10 days before it arrived in the bookshops to tell me that there was nothing to worry about. And I believed him stupidly. And then when it did arrive, the first thing I did was rush down to talk to my children. And William produced a box of chocolates and said, "Mummy, I think you've been hurt. These are to make you smile again."
لم تكن ديانا ولا غيرها على علم بأنها ستقضي آخر سنوات عمرها وحيدة في قصر كنسنتون بالعاصمة لندن، فكيف وصفت حياتها في تلك المرحلة الأخيرة من حياتها؟
Don't mind that actually. You know, people think that at the end of the day a man is the only answer. Actually, a fulfilling job is better for me. Well, I mean, any gentleman that's been past my door, we've instantly been put together in the media and all hell's broken loose. So that's been very tough on the male friends I've had, and obviously from my point of view.
Does that mean that you feel that for the rest of your life you'll have to be on your own?
No, I'm not really on my own. I've got wonderful friends, I've got my boys, I've got my work. It's just by living in Kensington Palace, obviously it is a little bit isolating, but you know, maybe we all feel like that.
لم يؤثر انفصالها عن الأمير تشارلز على تعلق الناس بها ومحبتهم العفوية لها، وهو أكبر دليل على أن ذلك لم يكن مجاملة لأميرة ويلز، بل كان محبة حقيقية وصادقة للسيدة ديانا سبنسر فحسب. لكن وسائل الإعلام ظلت تسعى إلى استغلال هذا الحب واستثماره على حساب خصوصية ديانا ونفسيتها. فكيف كان شعورها حيال تلك التصرفات الصحفية التي بدت غير مسؤولة وغير مهنية على الإطلاق؟
I still to this day find the interest daunting and phenomenal, because I actually don't like being the centre of attention. When I have my public duties, I understand when I get out of the car I'm being photographed, but actually it's now when I go out of my door, my front door, I'm being photographed. I never know where a lens is going to be. A normal day would be followed by 4 cars. A normal day would come back to my car and find 6 freelance photographers jumping around me. Some people would say, well, if you had a policeman, it'd make it easier. It doesn't at all. They've decided that I'm still a project after 15, 16 years that sells well, and they all shout at me, telling me that, oh, come on, Di, look up. If you give us a picture, I can get my children to a better school. And, you know, you can laugh it off, but you get that the whole time. It's quite difficult. I never encourage the media. There was a relationship which worked before, but now I can't tolerate it because it's become abusive and it's harassment. But I don't want to be seen to indulging in self-pity. I'm not. I understand they have a job to do. You could equate it to a soap opera, really. It goes on and on and the story never changes. And each time one enjoys oneself, albeit it's in a different situation, you have to pay for it because people criticize, which comes with the patch, as I said previously. But I am a free spirit, unfortunately for some.
But here at Kensington Palace, are you isolated?
Well, I am by the nature of my situation, yes. But I don't feel sorry for myself in any way. I've got my work that I choose to do, and I got my boys, and I've got lots of opportunities coming up in the next year, visits abroad. I'm about to go to Argentina, which I'm very happy with, and hope very much to continue the good relationship that's now been adapted between the 2 countries. I hope I can be of help there.
لم تكن ديانا مغرورة كما ادعت بعض الشائعات المغرضة، بل على العكس تماما، فقد كانت ديانا متواضعة بالفطرة وذات ضمير يقظ إلى حد كبير وإيمان عميق لدرجة أكبر وحس وطني واضح جدا تجاه وطنها الذي ظلت دائما تعتز بانتمائها إليه، لذا كان من الطبيعي أن يؤثر ذلك كله على رؤيتها للدور الذي تراه لنفسها في المستقبل بعد انفصالها عن الأمير تشارلز.
I'd like to be an ambassador for this country. I'd like to represent this country abroad. As I have all this media interest, let's not just sit in this country and be battered by it. Let's take them, these people, out and to represent this country and the good qualities of it abroad. When I go abroad, we've got 60 to 90 photographers just from this country coming with me. So let's use it in a productive way to help this country. I've been in a privileged position for 15 years and I've got tremendous knowledge about people and how to communicate. I've learned that. I've got it and I want to use it. And when I look at people in public life, I'm not a political animal, but I think the biggest disease this world suffers from in this day and age is the disease of people feeling unloved. And I know that I can give love for a minute, for half an hour, for a day, for a month, but I can give, and I'm very happy to do that, and I want to do that. I think the British people need someone in public life to give affection, to make them feel important, to support them, to give them light in their dark tunnels. I see it as a possibly unique role, and yes, I've had difficulties, as everybody has witnessed over the years, but let's now use the knowledge I've gathered to help other people in distress.
Do you think you can?
I know I can. I know I can. Yeah.
إذن أيمكن القول إن ديانا ومن منطلق الحس الوطني الذي تحلت به قد أخذت تلوم نفسها لأن تجربتها مع العائلة المالكة البريطانية تسببت في إحياء تساؤلات لدى الشعب البريطاني حول مدى جدوى بقاء النظام الملكي في بلدهم وإن كان أصلا نظاما سوريا إلى حد كبير.
No, I don't feel blame. I mean, once or twice I've heard people say to me that, you know, Diana's out to destroy the monarchy, which has bewildered me because why would I want to destroy something that is my children's future? I will fight for my children on any level in order for them to be happy and have peace of mind and carry out their duties. But I think what concerns me most of all about how people discuss the monarchy is they become indifferent, and I think that is a problem, and I think that should be sorted out. Yes, they don't care. People don't care anymore. They've been so force-fed with marital problems, whatever. They're fed up. I'm fed up of reading about it. I'm in it. So God knows what people out there must think. I understand that change is frightening for people, especially if there's nothing to go to. It's best to stay where you are. I understand that. But I do think that there are a few things that could change, that would alleviate this doubt and sometimes complicated relationship between monarchy and public. I think they could walk hand in hand as opposed to be so distant.
What are you doing to try and affect some kind of change?
Well, with William and Harry, for instance, I take them around homelessness projects. I've taken William and Harry to people dying of AIDS, albeit I told them it was cancer. I've taken the children to all sorts of areas where I'm not sure anyone of that age in this family has been before. And they have a knowledge. They may never use it, but the seed is there. And I hope it will grow because knowledge is power. I want them to have an understanding of people's emotions, people's insecurities, people's distress, and people's hopes and dreams. I would like a monarchy that has more contact with its people. And I don't mean by riding around bicycles and things like that, but just having a more in-depth understanding. And I don't say that as a criticism to the present monarchy. I just say that as what I see and hear and feel on a daily basis in the role I have chosen for myself.
وللتوضيح فإن الانفصال الودي بين الزوجين الملكيين لم يكن ليعني طلاقهما رسميا، ولذا كان لا يزالان متزوجين حتى بعد إعلان انفصالهما الودي عام 92 إلى أن أعلن عن طلاقهما رسميا في 28 من أغسطس آب عام 96. ونظرا لذلك الوضع المضطرب كان الاقتراح السائد وقتها هو إنهاء الأمر المنتهي أصلا، وذلك بتوقيع الأميرين رسميا لوثيقة الطلاق.
I don't want a divorce, but obviously we need clarity on a situation that has been of enormous discussion over the last 3 years in particular. So all I say to that is that I await my husband's decision or which way we are all going to go. I would obviously discuss it with him, but up to date neither of us has discussed this subject, though the rest of the world seems to have.
Would it be your wish to divorce?
No, it's not my wish.
Why? Wouldn't that resolve matters?
Why would it resolve matters? Our boys, that's what matters, isn't it?
لم يكن الطلاق بناء على رغبتها، ولكن ذلك كان من أجل ولديها الأميرين ويليام وهاري، وليس من أجل أنها تريد أن تكون ملكة بريطانيا يوما ما. وبدا هذا واضحا جدا حينما سئلت عما إذا كانت تعتقد أنها ستكون ملكة يوما ما.
No, I don't. No. I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts, in people's hearts. But I don't see myself being queen of this country. I don't think many people would want me to be queen. Actually, when I say many people, I mean the establishment that I'm married into. Because they've decided that I'm a non-starter. Because I do things differently. Because I don't go by a rule book. Because I lead from the heart, not the head. And albeit that's got me into trouble in my work, I understand that. But someone's got to go out there and love people and show it. I just don't think I have as many supporters in that environment than I did.
You mean within the royal household?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They see me as a threat of some kind. And I'm here to do good. I'm not a destructive person.
Why do they see you as a threat?
I think every strong woman in history has had to walk down a similar path. And I think it's the strength that causes the confusion and the fear. Why is she strong? Where does she get it from? Where is she taking it? Where is she going to use it? Why do the public still support her? When I say public, you go in and do an engagement and there's a great many people there.
Do you think the Prince of Wales will ever be king?
I don't think any of us know the answer to that. And obviously it's a question that's in everybody's head. But who knows? Who knows what fate will produce? Who knows what circumstances will provoke? There was always conflict on that subject with him when we discussed it. And I understood that conflict because it's a very demanding role, being Prince of Wales, but it's equally a more demanding role being king. And being Prince of Wales produces more freedom now, and being king would be a little bit more suffocating. And because I know the character, I would think that the top job, as I call it, would bring enormous limitations to him. And I don't know whether he could adapt to that. My wish is that my husband finds peace of mind.
أجريت هذه المقابلة يوم الاثنين الموافق 20 من نوفمبر تشرين الثاني عام 95، أي بعد نحو 3 سنوات من انفصالها الودي عن الأمير تشارلز. فما الذي جعلها تتحدث بعد تلك المدة وفي هذا التوقيت بالذات؟
Because we will have been separated 3 years this December, and the perception that has been given of me for the last 3 years has been very confusing, turbulent, and in some areas I'm sure many people doubt me. And I want to reassure all those people who have loved me and supported me throughout the last 15 years, so I'd never let them down. That is a priority to me, along with my children. I don't sit here with resentment. I sit here with sadness because a marriage hasn't worked. I sit here with hope because there's a future ahead. A future for my husband, a future for myself, and a future for the monarchy.
إذا أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والاشتراك بالقناة وتفعيل جرس الإشعارات ليصلك كل جديد.